I think the biggest thing is don't care what other people think about you, because that's what usually leads to all those temptations and you acting upon
how do you
them.
get to that point?
Well, I mean,
knowing who you are in Christ.
How do you get to that point?
By reading the Word
step by step
and meditating, and knowing who you belong to and what you've accepted. And once you know that, then everything else becomes a lot easier. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 50, guys. We're halfway to 100. Aiden's got an interesting thing on his nose. You want to explain that to the viewers before they get very confused?
Oh my gosh. It's called a breathe right.
How many times have you explained this today?
Oh, today probably 5 times. At school on Friday probably 10.
Nice.
Oh my God, Aiden, did you get punched in the face? You should see the other guy, bro. He has 3 breathe right strips.
So basically, it's a strip that has like a little metal thing in it, I'm pretty sure. And so when you try to move it, it like goes back to its original position, you know? And so when you stick it on your nose, it's really sticky and it tries to pull your nostrils apart. Open. Yeah.
Nice. So you have a cold.
Yeah.
And you're on the podcast. It's going to infect us. No, we don't care.
Just coughed on my burrito.
So, okay, I have a fun story. So I was teaching Bible school this morning, or partially teaching. And last week, I told the children that if they could learn all the books of the Bible, in order, obviously.
You give them a GoPro Hero 3.
Yes. Because I have a ton of Hero 3s because I was at a job one time and a dude just gave me a bunch of old GoPros. But they did it. And here's some of the rap Bible verses, or books of the Bible. It was pretty crazy. You ready?
Go.
They're all so fast. Wait, why is it not playing?
Go. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 1 Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1 2 Thessalonians, 1 2 Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1 2 Peter, 1 2 3 John, June, and Revelations.
Next Eminem over here.
So I thought that was pretty fun.
How many GoPros do you have to give away?
So I had 6, and then whoever had the fastest score or the fastest times on saying it would get those. So
You gave away 6 GoPros to one person?
No, to 6 people. Yeah. So that was fun.
Did they all know them?
No, just 6 of them, which is very convenient for me because that's how many GoPros I had to give away. How has your Bible reading been going?
That's what I was going to talk about because, like, I don't know. I'm not really exercising my faith. I mean, and just in this past week, because I think I see church as like a checkpoint.
Yeah.
It's like, you know how every Sunday you get like your screen time report from the settings? It's like that, but for my spirituality, it's like...
You have to be satisfied with the score you get.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I haven't been like really committing to reading the Bible. Like I'll read.
We don't hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
We like do it for like a day and like, all right, you're on your
It's
own.
been so much easier for me to listen to other people talk about the Bible, like just like to podcasts or other like sermons, which I feel like is not the best because I feel like just going straight to the source is probably better. But
yeah, I'd rather like interpret it myself than just hear someone else's interpretation. Yeah, I listen to like exactly what you said.
It just makes it easier.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not as deep. Because like today when I was teaching, I had some cool revelations. So what we were teaching is essentially the first sin happens, right? And we're telling kids about like what that means and everything. But the first thing Jesus did, because the punishment was death, he made the first sacrifice, which was a lamb, to clothe them, to cover their sin, because they realized they were naked, and that lamb was used to cover that sin. And then we read the entire lineage of, like, from Adam all the way to Jesus, because all that's recorded. And so through all those generations, and then Jesus was the perfect sacrifice. But no, it was just cool, like how all that works together and how he had a rescue plan from that early on.
Mhm.
So I guess he just knew it was gonna happen. What fruit do you think it was that they ate from the tree?
Probably a good one. Big, juicy, maybe.
I'm thinking a pomegranate.
You know,
Based on where the four rivers that came out of Eden, it was probably an orange.
Why would the rivers have anything to do with that?
it's just like
Where
the,
they
the
are.
place of growth and
Yeah.
stuff. Because it's like, where do the people think it was? It's now in like Turkey or something, or it was. In,
Well, no, but the flood
Turkey place.
happened, and I feel like before
Yeah,
the flood,
destroyed
there was like
everything.
one continent, and then
Pangea.
Pangea.
and then the water shooting out of the earth like split everything apart into the different continents.
That's a very valid theory, but I think it was probably a pomegranate,
Yeah.
which would make sense why it's like
Or
like
an
the fruit
apple.
of death in mythology and something. Because like in Greek mythology, in the Palace of Hades, there's like a couple pomegranate trees, and then once you eat from the pomegranate trees, you just can't leave anymore.
Yeah, and I mean,
So I think that's kind of interesting. It's like
That is
sin. You're
interesting.
like
I-
you're dead.
I think of it as an apple, but like, the apple is pretty like is kind of a loose term because in Old English, probably when King James version was translated, apple could mean like any fruit. So if you wanted to say like banana, you would say apple of paradise. And if you wanted to say orange, you would say apple of the orange tree, which is interesting. And
Huh.
yeah,
Bear Grylls.
I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter what fruit it was. I feel like it was just like a way for God to give them a choice, like
It's a fun little thought question.
eat this, and this will happen. So it's just like a way for them to interact with that option of to know everything and have free will, or to stay in perfect unison with God. Oh, this was the mind-blowing thing. Okay, so when they took a bite of the fruit, they decided to take free will for themselves, so they could choose right and wrong and know what right and wrong is, right? And then now, when we give our lives back to Christ, we give our free will back to Him. You guys get that? So, like,
no.
I don't get it.
in the garden, we took free will for ourselves so we can do whatever we want. When we accept Christ, we give Him that free will back. Like, God, do with me as you will. I am your servant. You know, and obviously we don't do it perfectly, but thankfully there's forgiveness. But that's in a sense of what we're doing, is giving our free will back to Jesus. So
That's deep.
I think we should hop into some Q&A and just answer these pretty.
How long do you think
In
Adam
depth.
and Eve were in the garden before they ate?
Pretty sure it says.
I don't think it says. It
Um,
doesn't very. Genesis is like hard to
Super
understand
vague.
how much time passed.
Also, it's like different for every translation, so it's not really helpful.
What's different? You think just like
It- I don't know the wording. It's obviously.
You have the Jewish Bible. Aiden.
Yeah, I
oh,
know.
I was at a Jewish wedding yesterday. I was
Mhm.
filming it, and I kind of wish I was Jewish
Why?
because, dude, like
You get
It-
like loads of money.
no, they had like a. They looked like they were having a great time. They were like on like the bride and groom were on these chairs, and like everyone was just like dancing in a circle around them. People were just like
Yeah,
throwing
no,
them up in
Jewish weddings
chairs.
look fun.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the
I've
old
seen
dude
videos.
was like dancing, just like falls on the floor from too much exhaustion.
That looks so fun.
And
I
everyone
went-
was just like, yeah, it looked really cool.
The reason I say that is, don't you get like a ton of money at your bar mitzvah too?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like.
No, I'm not stereotyping.
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like
I thought you were
feel like-
stereotyping.
I
was
feel like they
bro.
genuinely just give each other a ton of money like all the time. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
why.
mean, I've noticed from the bar and bat mitzvahs that I've gone to that people do receive a lot of money. I think got like $20,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's not name names on the podcast.
Okay.
we
We'll,
can.
we'll
Can we
bleep it out.
bleep it out?
Feel it burn.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I went to a bat mitzvah after 8th grade, and it was in London. And it's my dad's boss's granddaughter who had the bat mitzvah.
Mm-hmm.
flew
That happens when
you
they're
in?
13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Like adulthood, I guess.
and so they flew us into London, and that was like the only time I've ever been to Europe. We went to London and Paris. Anyways, we went to like the countryside for this bat mitzvah, and it was very fun.
Nice.
And they had
crazy.
like was like carnival themed, so they had like a mini Ferris wheel and like carnival rides and stuff. It was cool.
The cool thing to think about too is like those traditions were stemmed off of like God's blessing, right? So like
The carnival.
no, just like their weddings and their bar mitzvahs and like all the awesome celebrations they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to think of like when we're in heaven, it's gonna be that, but like even more enhanced.
Yeah.
It's like fun level
I
and rejoicing.
I like to think about like the 4 different celebrations that Jesus showed, like gives not miracles, I guess you could say, like signs in John. So he goes to, so on Shabbat he heals the paralyzed man, and the authorities are like, you can't do miracles on Shabbat, and then he's like, but God's my dad, and then they're like, you can't say that.
Do you even know who my daddy is?
My dad is God. He will ban you from life. So he's like, my
You know,
God
they
is
probably
literally my father.
thought of him as like, you know, like one of those annoying kids that are like,
My dad owns Microsoft. He'll ban your account.
Yeah, I mean that's true, because like they keep like seeing him that way in at the tabernacle and Passover and Hanukkah. Those are the other 3 celebrations that he performs signs at.
I was reading in the Bible this morning, and yeah, it was like the Pharisees coming up to Jesus, and he was, they asked him like, are you of God or like the Son of God, like you proclaim you are? And he says, I'll answer that for you if you answer me this one question. Was John the Baptist of God, or was he of himself, like a man just like saying random things? And they were thinking, and it was like the perfect question asked, because if they would have said, yes, he was from God, then Jesus in a sense would have been like, well, then why can't I teach? Because I am of God as well. And then if they said, no, he's not of God, then all the people would have been super mad at him because they all believed he was a prophet. Something like that. But yeah, just like having those perfect.
Jesus is a wizard with words.
Yeah. But yeah, let's hop into the Q&A. John, you want to read the first one? I love this question because it was...
Hey guys, do you think pirating movies or any content is a sin?
So
I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce her name.
Tariq. I think it's a he.
He.
Their name.
There. Yeah. Sorry.
Tariq.
Do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Guilty.
I'll just say we're all guilty of this, right?
Yes. Especially in 8th grade, there was this app called
Movie Box?
No, there was
One,
the
two,
other.
three
There was the
movies?
other app that.
No movies.
There was the other app that stemmed all those.
I'd recommend Popcorn Time.
It was that bunny app. Do you remember that bunny app?
Oh, yeah.
It was something, but there was just a bunch of pirated stuff, and I got like a bunch of free games that cost money. I got YouTube Plus where I could download stuff for free.
Dude, that was such the go for when we went to Switzerland. We would have not survived
Oh my
without
god.
that.
That app was great. And then they also had this app called Movie Box, which literally had every movie you could imagine.
Yeah.
And you were
like-
able to download stuff and stuff. It was amazing.
So while the 3 of us are guilty,
Me, on the other hand, I'm not as guilty.
no, I'm saying like I'm like just as guilty, because I started in 8th grade and I haven't really stopped. You know, when a new Marvel movie comes out and like people say it's worth watching, I am a huge fan of Marvel because I grew up watching like the cartoons on Netflix, and that really got me into, like, I guess you could say, Marvel lore. I've always been kind of a lore person.
Yes, you have.
And so, whenever a new Marvel movie comes out and I feel like watching it, I don't really want to pay for it. So I pirated Multiverse of Madness. This is my confession. And
I don't know why you do it so early, though, bro. You get some dude sitting in the back of a theater with, like, his iPhone 4, and the audio is so bad. The quality is horrendous.
I assume that the quality is horrendous just to, like...
This is the price I have to pay for being cheap.
Well, yeah, that. It's like...
This is the cost of my sin.
Exactly. Like, I can pirate this movie, but it's going to be awful to watch.
You're punishing yourself.
Okay, well, let's get into why it's
Yeah, I mean...
wrong. Because we all know deep down it's probably not morally correct.
Yeah, because, I mean...
But it's Hollywood. I mean,
Hollywood's evil. This is 2 wrongs make a right here.
I mean...
This is an exception. Remember, guys, God knows your heart.
Okay, no. So to break this down, I think there's two views of this. We're breaking the law of our country essentially. Like the law says you're not allowed to steal intellectual property, right?
And it's also breaking the commandment. Thou
Yeah,
shalt
and then
not
there's
steal.
God's law that we're also breaking of
Mhm.
stealing, essentially, right? Because when we look at it, it's like, yeah, you're taking someone's creation that they need money for to live, essentially, and just taking it for free, which is
Mhm.
stealing. Now, I like comparing it to like stealing a penny because really that's probably what they're making off of you paying for it. But it in God's eyes, sin
Would
is
you
sin,
steal a
so-
penny out of a homeless man's cup, Luke?
No, see. So I'd rather steal from Hollywood, I
No,
guess.
because it's a penny.
I would, however, take a penny from a man's Lamborghini cup holder. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. Because if I reach inside the Lamborghini,
I wouldn't even pick up a penny if it's laying on the ground and no one owns it.
It's not worth my time.
No, anyways, so let's cover the law first and why it's wrong to break the law, essentially. We've talked about this before, but Romans 13, 1 through 7. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted. For those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. So,
Did we just admit to a felony?
it's not a felony.
We
Well-
admitted to a crime in public, so I mean.
Theoretically,
there
we've
you go.
done this. No, but
Hypothetically speaking, theoretically speaking, perhaps we may have done those things.
I may have pirated, but you'll never know. 'Cause
I didn't say
Um,
it like
there is no monetary transaction, and you cannot. There's no way of knowing.
no, but for that verse, there's also people like, well, if God appointed, King Jong-un over me and he says I can't worship you, that means I'm not allowed to worship you, right? But then, like in Acts 5:29, we see, then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than man. So if rulers are saying you can't obey God, then you're allowed to not do that, right? Because
I think what it comes down to the end is if the laws agree with each other, the Bible and the
yeah,
worldly laws, then you kind of have to follow it. But if they don't, sucks.
In this case, I think they do. You're probably asking yourself, like, hey, if I've already pirated, like, what am I supposed to do? Well, Jesus says, stop sinning, or much worse will happen to you. So, in other words, stop.
Are you ever going to pirate a Marvel movie again, Aiden? Absolutely, I will.
well, so
no,
this
I
is
won't,
my excuse. This is
because
not a
much
valid
worse will happen
excuse.
to me.
But what I do is I'm paying for Netflix and Amazon Prime, but they won't let me download this to an SD card so I can play it on my projector wherever I go. So I'm like, I'm just going to download them and put them on there because I'm already paying for it, but I just can't get it into the format I want to.
Loophole.
I found a loophole. So pay for all the subscriptions and just pirate it anyway. That's the loophole.
I haven't pirated a movie in a long time. I think the last one I pirated
What if you
was-
buy a ticket to a movie, don't see it in the theater, and then pirate it online?
I guess, why not, right?
No, but that's like the crazy thing is like those little sins we just don't even count as like, oh, that doesn't matter because it's so small. But
Mhm.
like, I guess God still cares about stuff like that, which
Mhm.
kind of sucks for us. But
Yeah.
But when we are forgiven, our sins go to the sea of forgetfulness.
I
So
know.
so I
but
guess
that's like a get out of jail cheap card thing. I feel like. It's like
Get out of jail cheap.
yeah, because it's not
free.
free. It's not free. It's cheap. There's a little price.
little price of your
Just a penny.
reality. Because yeah, the people are like, because I'm always like, if you really, if God was standing there next to you, you wouldn't watch a pirated movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to live my life like God's looking at me the whole time.
Well, because he is.
Yeah. So
I wish I could do that more often.
I just like, I guess I just like.
I'm
walk 'em
going
out,
to.
Like,
I'm
God,
gonna
you
live-
don't see this.
I'm gonna live because God is watching over me, and I know that Jesus says, "Stop sinning, or much worse will happen to you." I'm trying to find where he said that because I just read it this morning in John.
Well, I kind of just read in that Luke verse is like, if people don't offer you hospitality and love,
Curse their town.
their town and the dust of their town is going to be worse off than Sodom or whatever. But so that's that question. Pirating, yes, it is a sin. Have we all done it? Yes, we have. Will we continue to do it?
We might, but we
might,
don't want to.
But we don't want. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Okay. Next question. Brianna. Hey, I
oh
think
wait, I got it. John
You're good.
5:14. Afterwards, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you are well. Now stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you."
Nice.
And he's talking to the guy who he just unparalyzed.
Pronounce his name correctly.
Brianna.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, I think your guys' podcast is great. Y'all are inspiring so many to spread the word. Thank you. Thank you.
Jonah's such an inspiration to us all.
I was wondering if y'all have any advice on how to go about dating in a godly or holy way. How do you keep God the center of your relationship? Bro, you
When
have
you're
come
slow
to the
dancing-
right place, let me tell you. These are a bunch of girlfriendless single men.
Hey, not anymore.
Never mind. Aiden. Why don't you lead us on this one? Lead the
When
charge.
you're slow dancing, leave space for Jesus. Just kidding.
You're supposed to like air hold her hand, like
No, you in between the two of you. Jesus, you have to act like Jesus is physically there. Have you never heard that before? Like leave room for Jesus.
well, I've heard lean through for Jesus, but not while slow dancing.
Okay.
Leave room for Jesus while pirating movies.
Hey,
Hey,
Jesus,
Jesus
I got
wants
you,
to watch.
I got you a seat right here, man.
Let's
got
sin together.
The bean bag all fluffed out for you.
Oh, that's yeah. That's,
Don't pay the penalty for me.
Okay, Aiden. Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know.
Do you think you're dating in a godly way?
I mean, that's something I'm trying to figure out. I don't know how to keep God in the center of my relationship because she doesn't know Jesus.
That's deep. Continue.
That-
Continue.
I'm
I don't
still-
care what. Keep going.
Still,
I think you're talking
figuring
about
it
being unequally yoked there, Aiden. You know, in 2 Corinthians 6:14.
Luke brings this up every time we have a dating question. He's like,
be equally yoked.
Brianna's probably shaking her head and be like, I already know that. Give me something new.
I mean, it's like, yeah, we can't really answer that really well because
Yeah.
we haven't really dealt with it. But
Kyle! We should just have Kyle on.
well, we've answered this so many times, even with Kyle.
that's true. We have talked about.
No, but we'll just have like a dedicated episode so everyone can be like, all right, this is what I have to listen to if I have this question.
Yeah, like a short.
Or like an hour long. I don't care.
Yeah, we should just like name. We should when you upload shorts, you should just like name them like the main question that's being answered.
Yeah, well, that was a plan, but I don't have time to edit that much. So,
Well, you don't have time to change the title.
oh, the podcast episode?
No, like the the shorts.
I have one short. Oh, like the podcast or the TikTok ones?
like, yeah, I guess so.
Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of smart.
No, but they just disappear in the ether of our feed. Oh, guys, we have to answer a question. A hard one.
Well, let's look at this from a broad spectrum. So she's asking, how do you date in a good way, right?
Yeah, I
Essentially.
mean,
and
she said, "How do you
Never
keep
meet
God
each other in
between-
person. Just text.
Just text all the
Text.
time."
no, you can also
That prevents premarital eye contact, premarital hand holding, and premarital hugging, which are all great things.
Okay, no, but so dating in the Bible, what do we see that portrayed as? The Bible never talks about dating, right?
No.
No,
Does it
but
talk
there's
about courtship at all?
There is a
Well, I mean,
where's Song of Songs?
Where?
no.
The middle.
Yeah, it's really near the Psalms. Well, I mean, Jacob, for like 7 years and 14 years actually till he got his. I feel so bad for Leah, bro. 7 years, she's like, all right, fine, I get married to this dude who wants my sister. And he's like, I didn't want you. You're kind of lame. I still want your sister. And then he stayed another 7 years while she was probably there. And she was like, damn, he doesn't even come
Is it-
inside anymore.
So this is a love poem. This is what I thought about. Okay, I'm sorry.
To who? Who is he writing this love poem to?
So it's from both perspectives. And so, I mean, it sounds pretty lustful when you read it. So let me just start off. This is okay. The Ultimate Song by Shlomo. She says, there's no names. She says, "Let him smother me with kisses from his mouth. For your love is better than wine. Your anointing oils have a wonderful fragrance. Your name is like anointing oil poured out. This is why young women love you. Take me with you. We will run after you," they say. "The king has brought me into his rooms."
Is this like one of Solomon's prostitutes or something?
They're anonymous. I don't know.
For their own integrity.
I am dark tan but beautiful. Your daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Shlomo. Don't stare at me because I'm dark.
Are you saying Solomon or Shlomo?
It's Shlomo.
I've never heard about Shlomo, bro.
It's probably Solomon.
Who is Shlomo?
Don't stare at me because I'm dark. It's the sun that tanned me. My mother's sons were angry with me and made me look after the vineyards, but I haven't cared for my own vineyard. Basically,
Bro, is this
what
like
do we learn from
is
this?
this like a
What do we learn?
Jewish translation exclusive?
This is our mission for this podcast. We gotta figure out what this is talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Solomon.
My dove hiding in this is the guy talking. My dove hiding in holes in the rock, in the secret recesses of the cliff. Let me see your face and hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely.
Why is this in the Bible?
Okay, so in the Hebrew Bible, it's said Shlomo, and it does mean Solomon.
Solomon, okay. I like Shlomo better.
Shlomo's pretty sweet. You guys heard about Shlomo?
How beautiful you are, my love. How beautiful you are. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats streaming down Mount Gilead.
Ew. A flock of goats? Goats?
Hey, her eyes are literally doves. What does that mean?
Goats stink, bro. So do doves.
Yeah, and your teeth are like a flock of shorn sheep that have just come up from being washed. Each of them is matched, and none of them is missing.
Either that stuff is like the relationship between the Israelites and God, which kind of doesn't make sense because it's so detailed, I feel like. But maybe back in the day with the correct wording, it was different. I don't know.
Well, I mean, to me, it makes sense. Like all the descriptions, it's just kind of a weird way of putting it. Like the goats, like the hair, it's just like, you know, it's like flowing hair. So I would assume it's like some curly, like soft, bouncy hair or something.
I think what makes most sense is, this is what I'm seeing right here, is like Song of Songs is Hebrew love poetry. That's obvious. Despite
Could it be Bathsheba?
depicts the beauty and mystery of sexual love within the context of marriage, one of God's gifts to humanity.
Because it's Solomon, right? Shlomo.
Shlomo. Okay, going back to the question originally.
Question.
Dating in a godly or holy way. So obviously don't do what the Song of Solomon's
Well,
is
why not?
descripting while you're dating.
Why not?
Only marriage. Why not?
Jonah, your neck is the Tower of David.
Aiden.
Your neck is a fortress, and
Strong. And I don't know.
The shields of the warriors look right there.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Man, your eyes are like doves, whatever that means.
You have flowing goat hair.
Okay.
Your teeth are like freshly washed sheep. None of them missing.
your cheeks are like pomegranate halves.
There's red cheeks. Just don't date at all. That's the easiest way to do it.
That's actually kind of a good point. Like, dating is a gift, but it's not like required that we have a wife by any means.
Why don't we? Why don't we have them in heaven?
Wives? Because we're married to
Wife.
Jesus, essentially.
What happens if you already had a wife on earth? You're just like divorced in heaven?
No, it just doesn't exist anymore. Your wife still exists.
Really?
Yeah. You don't marry in heaven.
Oh.
It's weird. Because I feel like, I don't know.
Well, now you're comparing earthly desires and happiness to
Yeah, Jonah.
heavenly.
Are you trying to go to hell? Is that what, is that what this is?
Maybe if I can have a wife down there. I don't know.
Okay, well, really simply, dating in godly terms is obviously try to stay away from sexual sin because you don't want to do that.
God knows your heart. Let's move
The
on.
thing about sexual sin is like if you commit it, you don't commit it just against the other person. You're committing it to yourself.
Mhm.
And you can read more about that in 1 Corinthians 6:18 through 20. And then just like I think just agreeing if you're dating for marriage, that makes a big difference than just dating for fun.
Yeah,
thing.
I think the shortcut is just to date someone
The
who knows.
shortcut.
Yeah, seriously, the shortcut is to date someone who already knows Jesus, and
Yeah.
you guys can exercise each other in your faith.
Mm-hmm. Build each other up.
Yep.
And also
Be
know
equally
why.
yoked.
Because it could be confusing for an unbeliever dating a believer to be like, why doesn't he want to do certain things or does do certain things?
Mhm.
That can raise a lot of conflict and stuff, I feel like.
Also has to be I don't know, in marriage at least, like you almost have to come into agreement to like one. You don't even just have to believe in the same God. You kind of have to almost be in the same like denomination. Like the difference between Catholic and Christian is like a big difference as well.
Yeah. I think you can have some different
You can
small
have definitely
things, but,
differing
like,
opinions.
on like the big like Christian beliefs, like Jesus really did rise from the dead, and I mean,
Make sure you guys are on the same page.
yeah, mostly because like if you have kids, like I feel like if kids grow up in a home that's
Which
even
way you
just
get
divided
raised.
like in that way, it could cause a lot of confusion and separation in a sense. But yeah, anything else on that one?
I have a great verse for this. Be equally yoked.
I thought there was more to that, Jonah.
No, just that.
That's it. Just be equally.
I thought you were gonna rhyme with someone else. No, just act like Jesus is sitting next to you the whole time. Because really,
He's that third wheel.
we're making this. Yeah, make Jesus
Don't make
your
it
friend.
awkward for the third wheel.
Dude, that's a great way of looking at it. Like, we always like think about like what's the boundaries, what can we do, what can we do. When in reality, you'll feel it in your heart if it's wrong, and you'll feel it in your heart if it's right. And if Jesus is there with you, you can't do anything wrong. So, yeah. There's that question. Newaesthetic.york asks, how do you guys deal with worldly temptations, meaning drinking, partying, sex, dating, etc.? And pirating movies. I'll add to that one.
Good question.
I'll say probably not very well with worldly temptations. They're always there. There's so many temptations everywhere, every day. Everywhere you look, there's a temptation in a sense, like whether that be looking at like food and being gluttonous, or whether that be, even just pirating a movie, or like there's so many different levels and different.
In the first world, there's so many ways to access that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot more accessible than it was when Jesus was around. I'll put it that way. And
In a sense, yeah.
I mean, and when I say it, I think about like.
No, it definitely is.
No, I mean,
I agree with Aiden 100%.
I think about temptations like drugs and alcohol mostly when I say that, because I'm like, I don't know, it seems pretty hard to get your hands on some weed back then.
I think there's more sins we can commit easier these days.
Bartholomew, you have an ounce.
Do you have the stank?
I think there's more sins almost we can commit nowadays than there was back then. But there was definitely still terrible sins.
And it's easier
be
not
back
only
then.
in the sense of access, but in the sense of cultural acceptance. If you were like,
is true.
considered a drunk back then, like you'd be like, oh guys, look, it's the weird drunk that always is like kind of bumbling around. But here it's like, it's almost like, yeah, everyone, we all got drunk last night.
Yeah,
You're
morality has
fine.
been twisted.
And then like especially, I guess sexual sin has been very, very
Or it's even
normalized
supported
and
or
accepted.
recommended.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, that's a good point. It's definitely
Where to the point where
publicized.
like your own teachers and sex ed are like, guys, try it out. You got this. It's fun.
putting the condom on a banana, sticking it in a donut. Like, why?
Well, I mean, I guess that like the safety of it is better than just kids experimenting and just being like accidentally making
Children.
a certain kind of thing. Yeah. But I mean, it's I wouldn't go to as far to be like, I'm encouraging you to do this because
Well, and that's okay at a certain age, but I feel like they teach it very young. Well, and the sad thing is they have to teach it that young because so many kids are doing it that young,
Yeah.
which is the problem. But
not in like second grade.
do they teach that in second grade?
Yeah. That's
Oh.
what they just banned in Florida all the way up to 3rd grade, and people were super mad. Who knows?
So
I
how
don't
do we
remember-
deal with
yeah,
them?
I mean, yeah.
How do we deal with
How
those
do we deal
temptations?
Just be socially awkward. Don't know how to deal with people.
That
and
is a sin, Jonah.
socially awkward.
It prevents you from talking to people about the Lord.
just be that weird kid that's like kind of just twitching in the corner. It's like nobody wants to walk up to you, nobody wants to offer you anything, and then you're all good.
I kind of okay. On a more serious note,
Or just go to parties and evangelize.
good luck.
Find some dude that's like questioning his life. Be like, damn, bro.
I think the biggest thing is don't care what other people think about you, because
Well,
that's
how do
what
you
usually
get-
leads to all those temptations and you
Yeah, I
acting
mean, well,
upon
how do you
them.
get to that point?
Well, I mean,
Knowing who you are in Christ
How do you get to that point?
by reading the Word
Step by step.
and meditating, and knowing who you belong to and what you've accepted. And once you know that, then everything else becomes a lot easier, and you know why you're not doing those things.
and also realize the fact that most people actually don't really care that you don't
that you
drink
don't do
or that
certain
you don't
things. It's
smoke.
like-
Most people will actually respect it. They'll be like, okay.
Like a lot of
for
times,
you,
I'd
man.
like to imagine, like if I'm scared to say something to someone, I'll be like, if they said that to me, what would I think?
Mm.
And obviously, people have different ways of thinking. But like, if someone walked up to me and was like, "Hey, do you know about Jesus?" or "Hey, do you know about Buddha?" I wouldn't be offended or like be mad. I'd be like, "Yeah, let's have a conversation. That seems fun." It's not like, because every time I think about it, it's like if I walk up to this person and say that, they're gonna think I'm super weird and just like run away. But when in reality, that's most likely not the case.
Mm-hmm.
People, some people actually really like conversations. I
Yeah.
feel like there's always that one experience that kind of just ruins it for you.
Yeah, and
Sometimes
you never want to do it again.
where you're just like, yeah. That's
Well, obviously, if
not
you just
gonna
walk
happen
up to a
again.
stranger and that's your first question, that's probably a little weird. So maybe get to know them a little
Yeah.
more and know where they're coming
Or if
from.
you just get absolutely humiliated in like a theological debate or something, or
Yeah.
like they bring up a really good point and you just get stomped, then you're like, all right, this is how everyone is.
No
and I'm-
longer evangelizing.
yeah, it's over for me.
I mean, what I do is I kind of like manifest the things that I say. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I don't drink and I don't smoke. And so when the opportunity arises, I know that I said that I don't drink and I don't smoke. So I kind of hold myself accountable for that.
That's good, yeah.
And it's like, well, I said that I don't drink and
Being
I don't
honest to
smoke. So I
yourself.
don't.
yeah, and like if you get offered to hit a jewel or whatever on the chairlift and you say no, the people aren't gonna be like, what? You're so lame, dude. You're not cool.
Well, they might. but
I
then you know where they're coming from. They're just insecure
Yeah.
about themselves because they're doing it. They want you to do it because they think they're cool because of it.
They
If you
just
don't
wanna-
do it,
they-
you're not cool.
they want to validate themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Validating their own sin.
Also, vaping is really addicting.
Nicotine.
Yes.
But the beautiful thing about sin is there's always a way out. God always gives us an opportunity out and a way not to sin. So if you're ever in a situation like I'm being forced to sin here, there's always a way that you don't have to do that. Johnny, can you stop messing with the mic?
The get out of jail cheap card.
But yeah, we don't. I definitely don't always deal with it in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I trip into it.
And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up.
We'll beat you up for you.
Well, I mean, obviously, kind of be like, I shouldn't do that again, but it's okay if you do.
Well, it's not okay if you do. The idea of like,
Here comes Luke. No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
what makes you say it's like okay?
Well, I
if
mean,
you do?
it's
You
not
know.
like it's.
It's not like your life is over.
I get what you're trying to say. It's like it's not like your life is over.
Don't
It sucks if
don't
you do
use-
it again.
yeah.
Try not to do it again. But if you do it again,
Try harder.
Then
Then-
go seek help.
Yep.
From other believers.
go put yourself in a room with nothing around you and just.
As Wolf King says, if you miss one day, don't miss two. If you miss 2 days, don't miss 3.
Exactly.
I've never heard him say that actually.
Oh.
That's pretty good though.
Thanks, Wolfgang.
What's something you look for in Christian friends? So,
Hotness. They have to be hot. Right, Jenna?
what do you guys look for in friends? Just in
Friends.
Christian friends? I don't know. There's not that many here,
Mhm.
and if there is, we've already befriended them, so I'm not really quite sure like what I look for in them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think
Why do you stay friends with them?
I mean, that would be more of a question than like, what do you look for in a Christian friend? Then what do I look for in a friend?
yeah. I mean, I'd like to answer them both though, because the Christian
They go
friend,
hand in hand.
yeah, the Christian friends to me, they're like my set in stone friend group. Like, I could name 6 dudes off the top of my head. Some of them might not practice their faith as much, but they still call themselves Christian. And the one thing that we all have in common is that we can share a deep relationship on a spiritual level because we all know Jesus. And then, whereas just friends,
Acquaintances.
I'm acquainted with everyone, not everyone. I'm acquainted with like a lot of people at my school. And I would call those friends because while we can't relate on a spiritual level, we still enjoy each other's company. And I guess the one thing that I expect from them or appreciate in looking for friends is, I don't know, just be nice, like bare minimum.
Expect them to die for me if needed.
Hey, Jesus went back to Jerusalem to help
Lazarus.
knowing he was going to die.
Yeah.
So
I'll just throw up some like I guess word association when I
You're
think
gonna
of like
throw up?
a good friend would be like trust, iron sharpen iron, accountability, honesty, a little bit of humor in there.
humor's nice.
No
yeah,
one-
I can't have an
Doesn't take
unfunny
life
friend.
too seriously in the sense of like doesn't like what I mean by that is not like yeah you go do whatever you want, but in the sense of like if your house burns down, your life isn't over in that sense. Like there's so much more to live for. than
Luke,
these small
someone who
problems.
wants Luke wants someone who will laugh as their house burns down because it's not that big of a deal.
Hey, just look on the bright side. It's pretty bright.
So like I look at
it.
Taylor and like obviously it's super sad and stuff,
Mm.
but when it happens is like your life goes on, so just that's like really cool to see in someone, or just I guess faith in God,
Mm.
and then I don't know, someone you could trust your life with and details with is
Yeah.
important.
One thing that I like, I mean, I just love people. I don't know why. Like, I really want to study like sociology or history because I like people and I like to learn how they work. But one thing that I like about people is that we have a tendency to, I mean, not just look on the bright side, but we also have a balance of like taking stuff seriously and taking stuff humorously.
I think we're talking about brotherhood,
Yeah.
not friends.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, females, you can't be included in this.
The brotherhood.
Sisterhood is no.
No.
Cause do you guys think there's a difference between like the word in all culture is like brother and then friend? Like I feel like there's different levels of being, I guess you could say, acquainted with someone or trusting them. I think it always goes back down to trust. Like a friend you can trust with these things, but a brother you can trust with these things.
And more.
Yeah. And an acquaintance you can trust with like the bare minimum of things like business stuff and all that kind of thing. So, what was the question? What's something you look for in Christian friends? Yeah. So I look for Christian in my friends.
I look for friends.
It's in the question, bruh. No.
I don't know. I guess someone who likes me for me and not the circumstances I'm in.
Jonah, I'm sorry. You're just hot. I don't really care.
I'm sorry, man. If you shaved your head, I'm gone.
Hey, that's an interesting thought experiment.
Did
Like,
you
when
did
I
that,
shaved
though.
my head, like,
How would friends stay?
one thing I was curious about was, like, I wonder how many people, like, are going to care about me.
associate with me.
I mean, everyone stayed. Everyone's loyal, which
Yeah.
made me very happy because I don't want to be known for what I look like.
I think the Bible has some really good
I
Like
feel like
examples
this
of
episode have been
friends and
very
brothers.
long. Is
Yeah.
that just me?
It's gonna be a lot of editing.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like an hour and 4 minutes.
We're almost done
now.
though. But like, so like, David and Saul's son, Jonathan. Yeah, like that's a great example of like brotherhood, friendship.
Also, they
G-
Isaac's Isaac's
and
kids.
Esau? Oh, never mind.
Wait, was it
Jacob's kids?
Jacob's kids? They didn't recognize Joseph until he said something and they remembered. They didn't
The dreams.
That's an example of bad brother or like brotherhood, I guess.
Well, I mean, but it's still an example of how
They
I felt when I
regretted
shaved
it
my head
pretty
because
quick.
oh yeah, no, they felt regretful, but my point is that like they didn't know him for what he looked like, which I mean to some degree shows that they didn't really care about him, and they felt really bad about it afterwards, but they also didn't realize that he was their brother until after he said something that they had remembered.
Well, he just kind of grew up.
Well, yeah.
Because it'd been like many years.
Mm-hmm.
He was in jail for at least 2 of those. I don't know how long it was, but he probably got sold into slavery when he was like, 12? Like the difference
Maybe a
between,
little older,
I don't know,
16 or something.
me when I was 12 and then like 4 years later, like some of the cousins I hadn't seen, like if they didn't know I was like meeting them or something there, like I've been
wouldn't
told
recognize
this,
you.
like
Yeah.
I would just walk past you on the street and I would have no idea who you were.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, as your own brother, I would kind of hope at least you'd like be able to see a resemblance. But yeah, they knew who he was on the inside when he was like, yeah, because you guys are bowing before me, just like my dream, losers.
Well, that had a lot to do with forgiveness, I guess, and that's another cool thing I look for, like in friends, is like quick to ask for forgiveness, but then also quick to give forgiveness. I think it's important.
Yeah, good point.
And Jesus, I guess, is the ultimate example of a friend. So if you're looking for an example, you got one right there.
You got a friend in Jesus.
You got a friend in me.
Okay, last question. Have you ever questioned your faith to such an extreme that you almost gave up? If so, how did you move past it? Reading the Song of Solomon, man, that's just really planted a seed of doubt right there.
I was like, wow.
This is the Bible, guys.
Matthew when he read Ecclesiastes.
No, I think there's a lot of things that we read or hear in the Bible that's like, whoa, it actually says that. And it just takes some studying and reading to it. And like, I don't think it's ever made me question the Bible in complete, like, in full.
I
like,
have
Jesus is
never
not
doubted
real.
my faith.
Yeah, I guess the levels of
I
doubt
think it's
would be
not
like,
as much. Sorry.
levels of doubt would be, I doubt it so much I don't even think it's real, or doubting it like maybe there's translation errors or something like that, and then like tiny doubting is like,
I think the bigger doubt comes from loss, definitely. And I haven't lost anyone to the point where I'm like, why, shaking my fist at heaven.
Why, God?
But I feel like that's definitely where most probably doubt comes from. Like you lose someone that was like really near and dear, like too early, and
Yeah, the question.
they were like a good person and they didn't deserve it. And it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah, the question people ask is like, why would God ever let bad things happen?
Yeah, why would
probably one of the
Especially to me.
good people? I don't know for anyone else, but I feel like that's almost like the biggest question.
No, I think that's a huge.
And like it's not even as like deep as like they were just taken away from me too early. It was like, why would God send like good people that were just like they did everything right, like according to the Bible and everything. They just didn't believe in God. Like, why would he send like good moral people to hell? Like, why would he do that? So I feel like that's where most doubt comes in for most people.
do you have an answer for that question?
Not a good one.
What's your question? Do you think more whittled down, more basic terms?
Well, I mean,
Why
it's
do
like
good things happen to bad people, or bad things happen to good people, essentially? Or
the question was like,
no,
what?
not that question. Your question.
Oh, my question. I'm not just saying for me because I've kind of had that.
I know,
like
but
the
what's
answer?
your question simplified, or that big question simplified, and then your answer, your bad answer, I guess you're saying to that answer.
Well, the question would be like, why do good things happen to bad people, or like, why would like such a just good God, judge people like that?
Then how do you answer that yourself?
It's intricate, Luke.
Well, yeah, explain.
We don't have time.
Yeah.
Is that next episode? Why do good things happen to bad people?
Sure.
Do it. 8
Um,
hours of it.
Let's actually really study that and like look into that and really get a really solid answer for that for next episode.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I mean I think to answer the question, that question,
Yeah, let's finish this question.
my doubt falls upon myself because I doubt, and it's not frequent, doesn't happen that often, but when it does happen, it's like strong. I felt it like last night. I was like, why haven't I talked to God in like a whole week?
It's like doubting your belief.
Yeah, no, I'm doubting the belief in myself.
Yeah.
Like I know that God and
No,
Jesus
I know
are
what you're
real.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like,
If I really believe this is true, why am I acting this way?
yeah,
I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why can't I just at least acknowledge God once a day? And then it makes me want to read the Bible even less. So it's not really helpful.
What?
Like it's not helpful because it's like I'm like degrading myself. It's
Yeah,
like,
I know, I know
gosh,
what
I'm so stupid. But yeah.
I guess like for like the question that you asked me, Luke, is like what would I say? And
For next episode, Jonah.
the thing is, I just kind of want to answer like real quick. Is like the people that have that question, they wouldn't be satisfied with my answers. Like what I was trying to convey.
Yeah.
Because like almost in
You can't be
simplest term-
satisfied by that question
Yeah,
unless you believe
you
God is
can't.
real. I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Is like they won't be happy with the answer I give them unless they understand where I'm coming from and they've experienced it. You know, we can dive into that more, I guess, next episode.
All right. Well, next episode, guys. Why do bad things happen to good people? And well, please like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell
You
button.
didn't answer the question, Luke.
Oh,
Well,
have I ever questioned my faith? That one?
Aiden's
no,
like,
he answered it, and then it went to you, and then it went to me.
Oh.
So
Did I answer it?
yeah.
Oh, I guess I can.
Okay, can we close this?
Yeah. All right, guys. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is my friend. Jesus is a friend of mine. I have a friend in Jesus. Jesus is a friend of mine.